Hello, my name is Noah Barrett, 32 years old. I'm a civil engineer working for a small startup in Des Moines, Iowa, a city that's neither too bustling nor entirely peaceful. Des Moines has a charm that's both modern and rustic, with glass buildings interspersed with endless cornfields stretching just beyond the city's edge. People often call it the heart of America, but to me it's simply the place where I grew up, work, and try to live a principled life. Work hard, stay honest, and don't let anyone take advantage of me. Maybe that's why I'm still single, despite my mother Margaret constantly nagging that I'm too picky and will end up a bachelor forever. I'm not the type to show off or talk much about myself. My life is simple. Wake up early, jog along the Des Moines River, drink black coffee without sugar, then sit at my desk with thick stacks of construction blueprints. I like control, the feeling that everything is within my grasp. But life, as you know, never lets you control everything forever. And this story begins on the day when everything I thought I had a handle on started to unravel. The day I received my sister Lily's wedding invitation. Lily is 7 years younger than me, 25 years old. A gentle, shy girl with big eyes and a smile that warms people even on Iowa's coldest days. She's the kind of person who always sees the good in others even when they don't deserve it. I remember when we were kids teaching her to ride a bike in our backyard. She fell constantly but would giggle and say, "Noah, I'll get it, don't worry." I've always felt a responsibility to protect her, like an unspoken promise. The wedding invitation arrived on a Friday afternoon while I was in my small apartment, surrounded by paperwork and a cold cup of coffee. The cream-colored envelope was elegant, with gold trim and ornate handwritten text. Lily Barrett and Grayson Pembroke. I frowned. Grayson Pembroke? The name sounded vaguely familiar, but I couldn't place it. Lily had never said much about her boyfriend, only dropping vague comments over the phone. "He's really nice, Noah. You'll like him." But her voice always seemed off when she mentioned Grayson, as if she were trying to convince herself. I opened the invitation and skimmed it. The wedding was set for 2 weeks from now at an upscale resort in Naperville, Illinois, about a 5-hour drive from Des Moines. I frowned again. Naperville? A resort? That didn't sound like Lily. She preferred simple things like a picnic in a field or a home-cooked dinner. Who would hold a wedding at such a lavish place? Then I noticed a small detail in the corner of the invitation. The Pembroke family cordially invites. Not Lily, not our parents, but the Pembroke family. A knot formed in my stomach, a bad feeling I couldn't shake. I called Lily immediately. The phone rang 3 times before she answered, her voice soft but slightly trembling. "Noah, you got the invitation?" "Yeah, just did. You okay, Lily? You sound tired." "I'm fine," she replied quickly. "Just busy with wedding preparations. You'll come, right?" "Of course," I said, trying to keep my voice calm. "But are you sure everything's okay? I mean, this resort, it doesn't seem like your style." Lily laughed, but it was the kind of forced laugh I could picture through the phone. "Yeah, it was the Pembrokes' idea. They wanted a special wedding. You know, their family. They have their own standards." "Their own standards?" I repeated, the knot in my stomach tightening. There was a long pause. Then she said, her voice barely a whisper, "I'm fine, Noah. Just a bit stressed. Don't worry." I wanted to press further, to dig deeper, but I know Lily. She wouldn't talk if she didn't want to. I let it go, told her to take care of herself, and promised to be in Naperville on time. After hanging up, I sat there, staring out the window at the fiery sunset fading over the distant fields. Something was wrong. I didn't know exactly what, but I could feel it, like a storm quietly approaching. 2 weeks later, I drove my old Ford to Naperville, carrying a small suitcase and a black suit I rarely wore. The drive was long and tedious, but it gave me time to think. I tried to recall what Lily had said about Grayson. He was a young businessman working in healthcare, specifically a chain of upscale clinics owned by his family. The Pembrokes, I'd Googled them on the way, were a wealthy, prominent Illinois family with private hospitals and clinics across the Midwest. They were the kind of people featured in business magazines cutting ribbons at buildings named after them. But what bothered me was how Lily talked about Grayson. No excitement, no spark in her voice. I told myself I might be overthinking, that weddings are always stressful. But deep down, I knew I wasn't wrong. The Pembroke Estate Resort where the wedding was held loomed before me like a palace amidst lush green fields. Towering white stone columns, a shimmering man-made lake, and stone-paved paths led to the main area adorned with meticulously crafted bronze statues. I parked among a sea of luxury cars, BMWs, Mercedes, even Rolls-Royces, Bugattis, and Lamborghinis. As I stepped out, a uniformed staff member approached, eyeing me curiously before politely directing me to the main hall. Inside, the atmosphere was oppressively lavish. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling, the marble floor gleamed, and enormous flower arrangements adorned every corner. I spotted my parents, Frank and Margaret, standing in a corner of the hall, looking small and out of place in their not-quite-new clothes. My mother wore a deep green dress, forcing a smile as she spoke to a middle-aged woman dressed elegantly with meticulously styled platinum hair. I immediately guessed she was Meredith Pembroke, Grayson's mother. "Noah," my mother called when she saw me, her voice tinged with relief. "You're here. Come, let me introduce you." I walked over and shook Meredith's hand. Her gaze was sharp, as if sizing me up from head to toe. "You're Lily's brother, aren't you?" she said, her voice low but commanding. "A pleasure to meet you. Our family is very much looking forward to this occasion." "Thank you," I replied, keeping my tone neutral. "I'm looking forward to meeting Lily and Grayson." "Oh, Lily's busy with the makeup artist. She needs a little touch-up to match today's atmosphere." Meredith smiled, but there was no warmth in it. I frowned. "Touch-up?" "Yes," Meredith said lightly. "She's a lovely girl, but you know, a Pembroke wedding demands perfection." I felt a surge of anger but held it back, nodding and excusing myself to find Lily. As I walked away, I overheard Meredith say to my mother, loud enough for me to hear, "Margaret, I hope your son knows how to behave at occasions like this. Not everyone is accustomed to our atmosphere." I clenched my fists, resisting the urge to turn back. My father, standing beside my mother, just bowed his head, saying nothing. I know my parents. They value reputation, always wanting to be seen as proper and respectable. They'd never push back, no matter how insulted, because they believed marrying Lily into the Pembroke family was a golden opportunity for us all. I found Lily in a small room on the second floor, decorated like a fashion studio. She sat in front of a mirror, surrounded by 3 makeup artists and a hairstylist, all busy with brushes and cosmetics. Her wedding dress was stunning, white silk adorned with pearls, with a train stretching a meter long, but it looked so foreign on her. "Lily," I called softly, standing behind her. She flinched, then turned and gave a weak smile. "Noah, you're here." I knelt beside her, taking her hand. Her hand was ice cold and she looked paler than usual. "You okay?" I asked, my voice low. "You don't look well." "I'm fine," she repeated like a rehearsed line. "Just a bit tired. You know, wedding prep." I glanced around. One of the makeup artists, a young woman, glanced at me before quickly looking down as if afraid of being caught. I noticed something on the vanity. A guest list printed on thick paper with some names crossed out in red. I glimpsed it and saw the names of a few of Lily's close friends scratched off. "Lily, what's this?" I asked, pointing at the paper. She looked down, then quickly turned away. "Oh, that's the guest list. The Pembrokes. They wanted to trim it a bit. They said there wasn't enough space." "Not enough space?" I frowned. "In this palace-sized resort?" Lily bit her lip, not answering. I wanted to press further, but an older woman, likely the Pembroke's event manager, walked in, clapping her hands. "Miss Barrett, we need to finish in 10 minutes. Mrs. Meredith is waiting to check." Lily nodded, but I saw her shoulders tremble slightly. I stood, patted her shoulder, and whispered, "If something's wrong, tell me, okay? I'm here for you." She nodded, but her eyes avoided mine, as if hiding a secret too big to share. The next few hours passed in a series of rigid formalities. I met the groom, Grayson, for the first time at the pre-wedding dinner. He was tall, handsome, with slicked back hair and a perfect smile that screamed he knew he was always the center of attention. He shook my hand, gripping harder than necessary, and said, "Noah, I've heard a lot about you. Lily says you're a great brother." "Thanks," I replied, studying him. Something about Grayson unsettled me. Not his words, but the way he looked at people like they were all pawns on his chessboard. The dinner took place in an opulent dining room with sparkling wine glasses and a 5-course menu I couldn't pronounce. But I noticed something. The bride's side, our side, was seated in a tucked-away corner far from the main table where the Pembrokes sat. My mother tried to keep a cheerful face, but I saw my father repeatedly bowing his head as if apologizing for his existence. I started noticing small details. The way Meredith ordered the staff around like they were servants. The way Grayson never asked Lily's opinion on anything, from the food to the music for the wedding. And Lily, my sister, who used to smile like the morning sun, sat there quietly, her eyes devoid of light. As the evening ended, I stood on the balcony looking down at the garden twinkling with lights. A cold breeze blew through and a growing unease settled in my chest. I didn't know what was going on, but I knew one thing. My sister wasn't happy, and I wouldn't let her walk into a marriage she didn't truly want. The wedding day arrived like a storm, sweeping me into a whirlwind of opulent rituals and scrutinizing glances. I woke up in the hotel room arranged by the Pembrokes, a small tucked-away room at the edge of the resort, as if to remind me and my entire family that we were second-class guests. I put on my black suit, adjusted my tie in front of the mirror, and told myself to stay calm. Today was Lily's day, and I wanted her to feel my support even though my heart was a tangled mess of unease. When I stepped into the main hall, the atmosphere was already buzzing. Uniformed staff glided back and forth carrying trays of champagne and intricately presented appetizers. The Pembroke guests, men in sleek tuxedos and women in shimmering evening gowns, gathered in clusters laughing and chatting animatedly. The wedding ceremony was held outdoors in a garden decorated like something out of a fairy tale. White silk ribbons fluttered gently in the breeze, tables were draped in gold-embroidered linens, and a live string quartet played soothing violin melodies. I sat in the third row next to my parents, but our seats were far from the main stage where Lily and Grayson would exchange their vows. I noticed immediately. The Pembrokes had deliberately placed the bride's guests in less prominent spots, as if we were an insignificant part of the ceremony. When Lily appeared, my heart stopped. She was beautiful, heartbreakingly so. The stunning wedding gown hugged her delicate frame, her blonde hair swept up and adorned with tiny pearls. But her eyes, they were empty, as if she were walking through a dream she didn't want to wake from. She held Grayson's hand, who was beaming at the guests with a radiant smile. The ring exchange happened quickly, with vows recited smoothly as if rehearsed 100 times. I searched for a flicker of genuine emotion in Lily's eyes, but she only looked down, her lips pressed tightly together. When the officiant pronounced them husband and wife, applause erupted, but I couldn't clap. Something was wrong. Terribly wrong. The reception took place in a vast ballroom with soaring ceilings and hand-painted murals. I sat at a table with my parents and a few distant relatives, but our table was in the farthest corner near the entrance, where the smell of food from the kitchen mingled with the noise of the serving staff. I looked around and saw the Pembroke tables placed at the center, adorned with enormous flower arrangements and bottles of expensive wine. The distinction was so blatant I couldn't pretend not to notice. "Noah, don't make a fuss," my mother whispered, placing her hand on mine. "Today is Lily's happy day. Don't complicate things." "Complicate," I repeated, my voice low but sharp. "Mom, they're treating us like garbage, don't you see that?" My father, as usual, said nothing, just sipped his wine and bowed his head. I wanted to scream, to stand up and flip the table, but I held back. For Lily. I had to do this for Lily. Then came the moment that shattered everything. Meredith Pembroke stood up, lightly tapping her wine glass, silencing the room. She stepped onto the dais, microphone in hand, and began her speech. Her voice echoed, smooth but icy, like a blade wrapped in velvet. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, "today is a special day for the Pembroke family. We welcome a new member, Lily Barrett, now Lily Pembroke." She paused, looking at Lily, who sat beside Grayson with her head lowered. "Lily is a lovely girl, and we hope she will learn to be grateful for this opportunity and uphold our family's reputation." The room fell silent. My blood turned cold. Grateful? Uphold our reputation? What was she saying? As if Lily were a beggar granted a favor, not a bride. I looked at Lily. She was pale, her lips trembling as she forced a strained smile. But then I saw it. A single tear rolling down her cheek, glinting under the chandelier's light. The guests began to murmur. A few chuckled as if Meredith's speech was some sophisticated joke, but to me it was a slap in the face to our entire family. I glanced at my parents. My mother clutched her napkin, head bowed, while my father stared at his plate as if wishing to disappear. Then I saw Lily stand, stumbling out of the room, hands covering her face. No one noticed, or they pretended not to. Grayson remained seated, smiling at a guest as if nothing had happened. I didn't think twice. I stood, left the table, and ran after her. I found Lily in a small dressing room, the door slightly ajar. She sat on a chair, her wedding gown pooling around her like a white cloud, her head bowed, shoulders shaking with sobs. But what froze me in place was the scene before me. Meredith stood there, holding a thick stack of papers, her voice cold as stone. "Lily, sign it. It's just a formality. If you want to be part of our family, you need to understand that everything must be clear." I pushed the door open, not caring if I was interrupting. "What's going on?" I asked, my voice hardening. Meredith turned, her eyes sharp as knives. "Noah, this is none of your business. This is between Lily and our family." I looked at the papers on the table. It was a contract, filled with dense text. I skimmed a few lines. In the event of a divorce, Party B, Lily Barrett, agrees not to claim any assets from Party A, Grayson Pembroke or the Pembroke family. Party B will leave without any financial support. My blood boiled. This wasn't a marriage contract. It was a sentence. Lily looked up, her eyes red, her hands trembling as she held a pen. "Noah," she whispered, her voice breaking. I don't know what to do." "Enough," I snapped, snatching the papers from Meredith's hands. I didn't think, I just acted on instinct. I tore the contract to shreds, pieces fluttering to the floor. "What do you think my sister is? Some commodity for you to buy and sell?" Meredith was stunned but quickly regained her composure. "You're ruining everything, Noah. You don't understand how we do things." "I understand perfectly," I growled. "You want to control my sister, turn her into a puppet. But you're mistaken." I grabbed Lily's hand, pulling her to her feet. She stumbled, but I held her steady. "Let's go, Lily," I said, my voice softening. "We don't need to be here." I led her out of the room, back to the ballroom. Hundreds of eyes turned to us as I stopped in the center under the glittering chandelier. I don't know where I found the courage, but I knew I couldn't stay silent. "Ladies and gentlemen," I said loudly, my voice echoing in the hushed room. "I'm sorry for interrupting, but I need to say something. My sister Lily is not a commodity. This isn't a wedding, it's a humiliation. And we're not participating in this farce any longer." The room was deathly silent. I saw Grayson leap to his feet, his face red with anger. Meredith stepped forward, her eyes burning with fury. "You'll regret this," she hissed. "Maybe," I replied, not looking back. "But I won't regret protecting my sister." I led Lily out of the room, leaving behind the murmurs and stunned stares. As we stepped outside, the cold April evening air hit my face, sharpening my senses. Lily was still crying, but she gripped my hand tightly as if I were her only lifeline. At the parking lot, I heard hurried footsteps behind us. It was my mother running after us, her face full of panic. "Noah, what are you doing? You've ruined everything." "Ruined?" I turned, unable to contain my anger. "Mom, they treated Lily like garbage. Did you see her crying? Did you see that contract?" My mother shook her head, tears streaming down her face. "But Noah, this was Lily's chance. The Pembrokes, they could give her a better life." "A better life?" I snapped. "You call being forced to sign a contract and humiliated in front of everyone a better life?" My father finally spoke, his voice weak. "Noah, you don't understand. We can't fight the Pembrokes. They'll destroy us." I looked at my parents, the people who raised me, but now I saw only weakness. "If you choose reputation over your daughter," I said coldly, "then you don't deserve to be Lily's parents." I opened the car door, helping Lily into the front seat. She was still silent, but I saw her clutch her hands as if grasping for the last shred of strength. As I started the engine, I glanced in the rearview mirror, seeing my parents standing motionless under the resort's dim lights. I didn't know if I was doing the right thing, but I knew one thing. I wouldn't let Lily stay in that place a moment longer. On the drive back to Des Moines, Lily finally spoke, her voice a faint whisper. "Noah, I need to tell you something." I glanced at her, seeing her red eyes filled with determination. "Go ahead, Lily. I'm listening." She took a deep breath, then said, her voice trembling, I'm pregnant, 3 months, but Grayson, he doesn't know. And I think he's not the good person I thought he was." My heart stopped. Pregnant? Grayson didn't know. And that bad feeling about him, about the entire Pembroke family, now solidified into a truth I couldn't ignore. "Lily," I said, my voice low but firm, "from now on I'll take care of you. You and the baby. I promise." She nodded, tears streaming again, but this time I saw a glimmer of relief in her eyes. I pressed the gas pedal, the old Ford speeding forward, carrying us away from the resort, away from the insults and the traps cloaked in opulence. But I knew this story wasn't over. There was something about Grayson, about the Pembrokes, that I needed to uncover, and I wouldn't stop until the truth was laid bare. A month has passed since the night I pulled Lily out of the Pembroke wedding, but the memory of her panicked eyes, Meredith's humiliating speech, and Grayson's fake smile remains like an unhealed scar in my heart. My small apartment in Des Moines, once just a place I returned to after long days at BuildBright, a startup specializing in sustainable construction designs, has become a temporary home for both of us. I gave Lily the bedroom while I sleep on the sofa, which is hard as a rock and a handspan too short for my height. Each morning I wake to the smell of black coffee in Lily's eyes, still pale but slowly regaining a spark of light. She's no longer the glamorous but miserable bride in an extravagant wedding gown. She's my sister trying to heal and rediscover herself. Lily has started to adapt to life in Des Moines, though I know she carries wounds that won't easily fade. Each day she spends time reading books about newborn care, meticulously jotting notes in a small notebook as if preparing for an important exam. I see her sitting on the balcony under April's soft sunlight, flipping through pages with a focused expression. "Noah," she called me one morning, her voice gentle. "What kind of diapers should I get? Are there any that are good for the environment?" I laughed, setting my coffee mug on the table. "You're asking me like I'm a diaper expert, but I'm sure there are eco-friendly ones. I'll look into it for you." Lily smiled, a real smile, though still a bit hesitant. "Thanks, Noah. Not just for the diapers, but for everything. If it weren't for you, I don't know where I'd be." I patted her shoulder, hiding the heaviness in my chest. "That's what big brothers do, Lily. You focus on becoming a mom. I'll handle the rest." Every night after Lily went to bed, I sat in front of my laptop, the blue glow illuminating my face. My gut feeling about Grayson Pembroke, the man I never trusted, grew stronger. He wasn't a good person. I was certain of it. What Lily told me about how he controlled her, how Meredith forced her to sign a prenuptial agreement, and the fact that she hid her pregnancy, all were pieces of a dark puzzle. I couldn't let it fade into oblivion, not out of revenge, but to ensure Grayson couldn't hurt Lily or anyone else again. Our new life in Des Moines wasn't glamorous, but it had a quiet peace that I knew Lily needed. I still went to work each day, drafting designs for energy-efficient homes, sitting in Build Bright's small office where my colleagues teased me about my unsweetened black coffee habit. But coming home to see Lily slowly changing gave me hope. She started cooking simple dishes like spaghetti or toast. She even planted a few small pots on the balcony, a mint plant and a cactus, tending to them as if nurturing herself. One evening, as I brewed tea for us, Lily sat across from me, hands resting on her belly, and said in a soft but firm voice, "Noah, I want to name the baby Oliver if it's a boy. What do you think?" "Oliver?" I repeated, smiling. "Sounds good. And if it's a girl?" She thought for a moment, then smiled. "Maybe Emma. I like that name. It's gentle like sunlight." I nodded, warmth spreading through me. For the first time since that night in Naperville, I saw Lily truly hopeful about the future, but I also knew that for her future to be safe, I had to confront the past, specifically Grayson Pembroke. I began investigating discreetly. I didn't want Lily to know, didn't want to add to her worries while she was pregnant. I contacted Jake, a lawyer friend in Chicago who'd helped me with some legal issues for the company. Jake had a wide network and a knack for digging up information no one else could. I called him on a Tuesday night after Lily was asleep. "Noah, what do you want me to find on Grayson Pembroke?" Jake asked over the phone, his tone laced with curiosity. "Still sore about the wedding?" "It's not about being sore," I replied, my voice low. "I have a feeling about this guy, Jake. He's not as clean as the press makes him out to be. Lily said he controlled her and his family pushed her to sign a prenup. I need to know what else he's done, what they're hiding." Jake sighed. "The Pembrokes are a big deal, Noah. They have money, connections, and top-notch lawyers, but I'll try. I heard Grayson was involved in a lawsuit a few years back during college. No public details, it was settled out of court, but I'll dig deeper." "A lawsuit?" I frowned. "What was it about?" "Not clear yet," Jake said. "Could be harassment or worse. I'll check records and ask some contacts in the industry." "But Noah, if you're going forward with this, be careful. The Pembrokes don't like people poking around." I hung up feeling like I'd stepped onto a dark path. But I wasn't afraid. If Grayson had secrets, I'd find them. I opened my laptop, searching social media and anonymous forums. I'm no hacker, but I know how to ask questions. I posted anonymously on a local Illinois forum asking if anyone had heard rumors about Grayson Pembroke. I didn't expect much, just hoping for a small lead to take me further. 2 days later, I got a private message from an account with no profile picture. It read, "I know about Grayson. If you want the truth, meet me, not in public." They included an address, a small coffee shop on the outskirts of Chicago, and a time, 3 p.m. Friday. I hesitated. This could be a trap. The Pembrokes might know I was digging and be luring me into a dirty game. But I had no choice. If there was a chance to uncover the truth, I had to take it. I told Lily I was going to Chicago to meet a client, a small lie to keep her from worrying. She nodded, unsuspecting, only telling me to drive safely. On Friday, I drove my old Ford to the coffee shop. It was in a quiet neighborhood with red brick houses and tree-lined streets. Inside, the aroma of roasted coffee mixed with soft jazz music. I sat in a corner, ordered a black coffee, and waited. At exactly 3 p.m., a woman walked in. She was about 25, with brown hair tied up, wearing a denim jacket and sunglasses despite the overcast sky. She scanned the room, then walked straight to my table. "You're the one asking about Grayson?" she asked, her voice low but sharp. I nodded. "I'm Noah. Who are you?" She removed her sunglasses, revealing tired but determined eyes. "Call me Sarah. I used to know Grayson, and I think you should know what he did." My heart pounded. What did he do? Sarah took a deep breath as if gathering courage. When I was 16, Grayson contacted me through social media. He said sweet things, made me feel special. But then he started sending weird messages, asking for inappropriate ones. Her voice trembled, but she continued. I refused, and he got angry. He secretly took pictures of me at school and sent them to me with threats. I was too scared to tell anyone. My blood ran cold. Do you have proof? Sarah nodded, pulling a small USB drive from her bag. I saved some of his messages and photos he sent. There's also a recording of his voice. I wasn't brave enough to report him back then. His family was too powerful. But when I heard about your sister's wedding, I knew I had to do something. I took the USB, feeling its weight in my hand. Thank you, Sarah. I won't let this go. Sarah looked at me, her eyes a mix of gratitude and worry. Be careful, Noah. The Pembrokes don't forgive those who cross them. Back in Des Moines, I waited until Lily was asleep before opening the USB on my laptop. What I saw made me sick. Grayson's messages were filled with manipulation, threats, and coercion targeting a 16-year-old girl. There were secretly taken photos, clearly shot from a distance, and a recording of Grayson's voice, sweet but calculated. If you don't do what I say, you'll regret it, Sarah. I know where you are, what school you go to. I had to stop, taking a deep breath to control my anger. This wasn't just evidence. It was a bombshell. If I brought it to light, Grayson and the Pembrokes wouldn't be able to deny it. But I also knew I was entering a dangerous fight. The Pembrokes had money, power, and the ability to cover things up. I looked at Lily sleeping on the bed, her hands cradling her belly as if protecting her baby. She was rebuilding her life, and I couldn't let Grayson or his family destroy it again. I texted Jake, sending him a copy of the USB's files. Jake, I have evidence. Can you help me get this to the police without revealing the source's identity? Jake replied instantly, I can do that. But Noah, you're playing with fire. Be ready. I nodded, though Jake couldn't see. I was ready. For Lily, for Sarah, and for anyone else Grayson might have hurt. Our new life in Des Moines was a fresh start, but for it to truly be a new chapter, I had to destroy the darkness of Grayson Pembroke's past. Each day I saw Lily regain her strength. She talked more, laughed more, even hummed softly while watering her plants on the balcony. One evening, as we ate spaghetti she'd cooked, Lily looked at me and said, Noah, I want to stay here with you. I don't want to go back to Mom and Dad's. Not because I'm mad at them, but I feel safe here. I smiled, though my heart was heavy with what I was about to do. You'll always have a place here, Lily. You and Oliver or Emma? She laughed loudly, the first real laugh since Naperville. You're going to be the best uncle. But when the apartment lights dimmed, I sat before my laptop staring at the USB. I knew I held a dangerous weapon, but also a chance for justice. Our new life was beginning, but I wouldn't let it be threatened by shadows from the past. Grayson Pembroke and his family would have to face the truth. Holding the USB drive in my hand, I felt like I was clutching a grenade with the pin already pulled. The messages, photos, and recording of Grayson Pembroke that Sarah had given me weren't just evidence. They were a verdict. But I knew that to use them effectively, I had to proceed with caution. The Pembrokes weren't an ordinary family. They were an empire with wealth, power, and connections that could bend the law itself. I couldn't just send the USB to the police and hope things would resolve themselves. I needed to ensure the truth was exposed to the world so no one, not even Meredith Pembroke, could cover it up. I texted Jake, I need you to find someone in Child Protective Services or a trustworthy cop. I want this evidence to reach the right hands, but I also want it public. Jake replied quickly, his tone cautious even through text. Noah, I know a guy in the Chicago PD who handles cases involving minors. He's discreet but serious. I'll send him a copy of the evidence, but public, are you sure? The Pembrokes won't let this slide. I'm sure, I texted back. They hurt Lily, they hurt Sarah. Who knows how many others? I want the world to know who Grayson Pembroke really is. I began my plan quietly. Besides sending the evidence to Jake, I contacted a local journalist named Rachel Carter, who had written an investigative piece on corruption in Illinois' healthcare industry. I found her article online, sharp and fearless, unafraid to take on the powerful. I sent her an anonymous email, revealing only that I had information about a prominent figure in healthcare involved in serious misconduct. I didn't mention Grayson or the Pembrokes by name, just attached a short snippet of his recording. Enough to pique her curiosity, but not enough to reveal everything. Rachel responded within 24 hours. I want to meet you. If this information is as serious as you say, it could be big. But I need the full evidence, and I need to know who you are. I hesitated. Meeting in person was risky. The Pembrokes might be watching me, or worse, they could try to silence anyone threatening their reputation. But I had no choice. If I wanted the truth out, I needed someone like Rachel, someone who could get this story into major newspapers. I agreed to meet her at a small diner in Des Moines, where no one knew me. The meeting took place on a Tuesday afternoon under Iowa's gray sky. The diner was on the outskirts with worn wooden tables and the faint smell of toasted bread. Rachel, a woman in her early 40s with short red hair and sharp eyes, sat in a corner with a coffee mug and a notebook. She looked at me as I walked in, as if she'd already guessed I was the one she was waiting for. "Noah Barrett?" she asked, her voice low but direct. I nodded, sitting across from her. "Rachel, thanks for coming." She raised an eyebrow. "I know you're the guy who caused a scene at the Pembroke wedding. Social media's still buzzing about it. But I'm guessing you're not here to rehash family drama, are you?" I pulled out the USB and placed it on the table. "This is evidence about Grayson Pembroke. Messages, photos, a recording, all showing he harassed a 16-year-old girl a few years ago. And I suspect she wasn't the only victim." Rachel picked up the USB, her eyes glinting with curiosity. "Are you sure this is real? Because if I publish this, the Pembrokes will sue me and you into oblivion." "I'm sure," I said firmly, "and I'm ready to face them. But I need your help to bring this to light before they can cover it up." Rachel nodded, slipping the USB into her bag. "I'll verify it. If it checks out, I'll reach out to editors at the Chicago Tribune and the Des Moines Register. But Noah, you need to prepare. The Pembrokes have the best lawyers and they don't play clean." "I know," I said, feeling like I was stepping into a battle I wasn't sure I could win. But I wasn't doing this for myself. I was doing it for Lily, for Sarah, and for everyone Grayson had hurt. While waiting for Rachel and Jake to work, I tried to keep life for Lily and me as normal as possible. Each morning I went to Build Bright, drafting designs for sustainable homes, then came home to Lily, who was slowly rediscovering joy. She started attending a prenatal class at the community center, where she made friends with other expectant mothers. I saw her laugh more, sharing stories about breathing exercises or picking out baby clothes. One evening, as we ate a pumpkin soup she'd insisted on making herself, she looked at me and said, "Noah, I think I'm going to be okay. I mean, me and the baby. I'm not scared anymore." I smiled, though my heart was still heavy. "You're stronger than you think, Lily. And I'll always be here no matter what." 3 days later, Rachel called. "Noah, I verified the evidence. It's legit. I sent the story to the Chicago Tribune, and they're running it tomorrow morning. The headline, 'Young Entrepreneur Grayson Pembroke Accused of Harassing Minor.'" The next morning, I woke early, turned on the TV, and saw Grayson Pembroke's face on the screen. The ticker at the bottom read, "Young Entrepreneur Exposed as Predator." The anchor, with a dramatic tone, said, "An investigative report from the Chicago Tribune has revealed serious allegations against Grayson Pembroke, son of the prominent Pembroke healthcare family. Evidence, including messages and a recording, suggests he harassed a minor years ago. Chicago police have opened an investigation and Child Protective Services are involved." I looked at Lily sitting on the sofa, clutching a mug of tea, her eyes wide. "Noah, you did this, didn't you?" she asked, her voice trembling. I nodded, saying nothing. Lily stood, hugged me, tears streaming down her face. "Thank you," she whispered. "I didn't know I was worth that much to you." "You're my sister," I replied, holding her tightly. "No one gets to hurt you." The media storm erupted faster than I expected. Within hours, the Chicago Tribune article was shared thousands of times on social media. Some called for a boycott of the Pembroke's clinic chain, while others demanded a full investigation. The Pembroke Corporation's stock plummeted on the exchange. By afternoon, the story hit national networks. CNN and NBC ran segments with headlines like, "Powerful healthcare family faces crisis over harassment allegations." One station played Grayson's recording, his cold, threatening voice echoing. I saw Meredith appear in a brief interview, her face stiff, declaring, "This is a smear campaign against our family. We will sue anyone spreading these lies." But her voice wavered and her eyes lacked their former sharpness. The next day, an update. Grayson Pembroke was detained for questioning. Police found additional evidence on an old phone seized during a search. Sarah wasn't the only victim. At least 3 other girls, all minors, had been targeted by Grayson via social media. One, now an adult, agreed to testify. The Pembroke family fell into crisis. Their clinic chain faced scrutiny for alleged money laundering to cover up Grayson's past lawsuits. The reputation Meredith had built over decades crumbled like a sandcastle. I wasn't gleeful. Not exactly. But I felt a weight lift, as if a burden had been shed. A week later, I sat with Lily on the balcony watching the fiery sunset stretch over Des Moines cornfields. She was knitting a small blanket for the baby, her hands moving slowly but steadily. "Noah," she said without looking up, "do you think Mom and Dad will forgive me after everything we've done?" I thought for a moment, then replied, "Forgiveness is about living with the truth, Lily. Live for yourself, not for anyone else. Not even Mom and Dad." Lily nodded, her eyes brightening. "I'll never forget how you saved me, but I want to move forward with my baby." I smiled, patting her shoulder. "We'll make it, Lily." The fiery Des Moines sunset faded into darkness, leaving faint orange streaks across the sky. I stood on the apartment balcony holding a cold cup of black coffee, watching Lily sit by her mint plant, softly humming a lullaby I'd never heard before. Her voice was gentle, as if singing to the baby in her womb, and I realized for the first time since that night in Naperville, she was no longer the trembling girl in a crumpled wedding gown. She was Lily, my sister, finding herself again piece by piece. The media storm around the Pembrokes had quieted, but its echoes lingered. Articles still appeared sporadically, updating the investigation into Grayson Pembroke and the collapse of his family's healthcare empire. Their clinic chain lost licenses in 3 states, and Meredith, the woman who once stared at me with razor-sharp eyes, was now a shadow of herself in paparazzi photos outside courthouses. Grayson faced multiple charges, not just from Sarah, but from 3 other victims, all minors he had manipulated through social media. I didn't follow the news closely, not because I didn't care, but because I wanted to focus on Lily, on the new life we were building. Des Moines, with its tree-lined streets and sprawling cornfields, became our sanctuary. My small apartment, though cramped, was now filled with Lily's touches: potted plants on the balcony, a half-knitted baby blanket, and the faint smell of homemade cookies from the kitchen. I still worked at Build Bright, drafting designs for energy-efficient homes, but coming home each day was a joy. Lily started attending a prenatal yoga class and spoke excitedly about her new friends, a spark I hadn't seen in months. Noah, Mia from yoga class, said I should try making banana bread. Lily said one evening as we ate a simple spaghetti dinner she'd insisted on cooking. She gave me her recipe. "Want to try it?" "Spaghetti's not enough, and now you want to bake?" I teased, but warmth filled my chest. "Go for it. But if you burn the kitchen, don't blame me." Lily laughed, a clear, childlike laugh that reminded me of when we rode bikes in our backyard as kids. I knew she still carried scars from what the Pembrokes had done, but she was healing day by day. And I, though I didn't say it, was learning to let go of the anger I'd held since that night at the resort. 6 months later, on an October morning, Lily gave birth to a healthy baby boy, 3.5 kilos with big eyes just like his mother's. She named him Oliver as she'd planned. When I walked into the hospital room and saw Lily holding him, her face radiant despite exhaustion, my eyes stung. "Meet Uncle Noah," she said, smiling, handing Oliver to me. I awkwardly cradled the tiny, warm body. "Hey, Oliver," I whispered, and in that moment I knew I wasn't just Lily's brother anymore. I was a pillar for her and this child. I promised myself right there that I'd do everything to protect them. Our life changed in small, daily ways. I bought a crib for the corner of the bedroom and learned to change diapers, a skill I never thought I'd need. Lily, though tired from sleepless nights with Oliver, stayed optimistic. She started part-time work at a nearby flower shop where she could bring Oliver along. "I love the smell of flowers," she told me once, coming home with a bunch of white daisies. "It makes me feel like everything can start anew." I nodded, but I knew our journey wasn't truly over. Our parents, Frank and Margaret, remained an unanswered question. They hadn't contacted us since Naperville, and I didn't reach out. I wasn't angry, not exactly, but I couldn't forget how they stayed silent when the Pembrokes humiliated Lily, how they chose reputation over their daughter. One December afternoon when Oliver was 3 months old, I was playing with him on the rug when the doorbell rang. Lily was at the flower shop, so I carried Oliver to the door. There stood my parents, looking awkward, my mother holding a paper bag of baby toys. I froze, unsure what to say. "Noah," my mother said, her voice trembling. "Can we talk?" I nodded, letting them in. Oliver babbled in my arms, and my mother's eyes lit up, brimming with tears. "This is my grandson?" she asked, her voice choking. "Yes," I said, handing Oliver to her. "This is Oliver." My father, as usual, stood silently, but I saw deep regret in his gaze as he looked at Oliver. They sat on the sofa, and my mother spoke, her voice halting. "Noah, we're sorry. Your father and I were wrong. We thought marrying Lily to the Pembrokes was a good opportunity, but we didn't see how much she was suffering. When you took her away, I was so angry, but now I understand. You were right." I looked at them, torn between anger and exhaustion. "Mom, Dad, I don't need apologies. I just want to know why you stayed silent when they humiliated Lily. Why didn't you stand up for your daughter?" My father finally spoke, his voice hoarse. "Noah, I was scared. The Pembrokes, they're too powerful. I thought if we fought them, they'd destroy our family, but I was wrong. I failed to protect Lily, and I'll regret it for the rest of my life." I took a deep breath, trying to hold back my emotions. "Lily's been through enough. I don't want her to hurt anymore. If you want to be part of her life, prove it. Not with words, but with actions." My mother nodded, tears streaming down. "We'll try, Noah. I want to see Lily, to be a grandmother to Oliver." I nodded, keeping my distance. "I'll tell Lily, but it's her decision." Lily came home that evening, and when I told her about our parents, she was silent for a long time. "I'm not angry," she said finally, her voice soft but firm, "but I need time. I want to focus on Oliver, on our life. Maybe one day I'll be ready to see them again." I nodded, respecting her choice. I knew Lily was far stronger than the trembling girl in the dressing room that wedding night. She'd chosen her path, and I was proud of her. A year later, we moved to Portland, Oregon, a sudden but right decision. Des Moines had been our refuge, but Portland felt like a fresh start, a blank page. I found a job at an established construction firm, continuing to design sustainable homes. Lily opened a small flower shop where Oliver often played in a corner, babbling among daisies and roses. Our life wasn't perfect. There were days we struggled financially, nights Oliver cried, and moments I wondered if I was doing enough for my sister and nephew. But we had each other, and that was enough to get through it all. I legally adopted Oliver, not just on paper, but in my heart. Every time he smiled or grabbed my finger, I felt a joy I'd never known. Lily, now a confident mother, often teased me, "Noah, you're going to be an amazing dad. But don't spoil Oliver too much." I laughed, but I knew I didn't need anyone else besides Lily and Oliver. They were my family, the reason I fought. One evening in Portland, with Oliver asleep and Lily reading, I sat down to write an anonymous post on an online forum. I shared our story, not to boast or seek attention, but to warn others. I wrote about how the Pembrokes tried to control Lily, about Grayson's dark past, and about our journey to reclaim freedom. I ended the post with these words: "This world is full of evil people who use money and power to manipulate and hurt. But I've learned that no matter how strong they seem, the truth is stronger. I pulled my sister out of a toxic marriage, and I helped expose a monster. It wasn't easy. There were days I was scared, nights I doubted myself. But if you stand up for those you love, you'll find strength you didn't know you had. If you ask me for advice, it's this: don't stay silent in the face of evil. Don't let fear or comfort make you bow your head. And if you're trapped in a situation that makes you feel like you're not yourself anymore, find someone you trust. They might be the light that leads you out of the darkness." My sister is now a mother, a strong woman, and I'm proud to be her brother. We've rebuilt our lives, not because we're special, but because we didn't give up. And this world, though full of people like Grayson Pembroke, can't defeat you if you don't let it. I posted it, closed the laptop, and stepped onto the balcony. Under Portland's faint moonlight, I heard Lily's lullaby from the bedroom, her voice gentle like a promise. I looked out at the city, its lights twinkling like stray stars. Oliver slept soundly in his crib, and Lily, my sister, was smiling in her dreams. I knew no matter how painful the past, we had found freedom. And the final thing I wanted to say, not just for myself, but for anyone listening: this world isn't short of evil people, but my sister will never live under the hand of one again. If you're still listening to this story, if you have a younger or older sister like I do, protect them at all costs. I wish you strength and success.